Okay, we're on module 3 now, and we're going to look at all the different things we can do with text layers. We're going to be applying presets to them. We're going to animate them, and they're really quite easy to use text in After Effects. In the tools and character and paragraph panels, they contain a wide range of different text controls, and you can create and edit from the horizontal or vertical text tools directly onto the screen in the composition, which is what we're going to do a bit later. You can change your fonts, your styles, your sizes, all sorts of different individual characters. You can set formatting options for your paragraphs. So in After Effects, there are two different types of text. There's a point text. So a point text is when you enter a single word or a couple of words. A paragraph text is used to format text as one or more paragraphs. So that kind of makes sense. So text layers are just like any other layer in After Effects. So you can apply different effects and expressions to them. You can animate them. You can create them as 3D layers, which is actually something I do in a different course in 3D animation. You can view them from different angles. You can import them from Illustrator, Photoshop, and the beauty is that they're like Illustrator in that they're rasterized, and so when you scale a layer or resize a text, it still retains that really crisp resolution. Okay, so the main differences between text layers and other layers is that you cannot open a text layer in its own layer. You can animate the text in a text layer using special text animated properties. But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at a really cool kit. It's called Typekit, and it's through, if you've got Adobe Creative Cloud membership, you can use this. But I'll just quickly go over it, sort of to entice you maybe to join Adobe Creative Cloud. So you go up to File, which you can't see, but File and then Adobe Typekit, and it will bring up in your browser, it'll bring up an Adobe Typekit, which is on the net. And so I'm already signed in, and when you sign in, you'll have your own library. So I'll just go back a bit because I've been searching for different fonts. And I'll go back again. Okay, so when you sign in, you'll get My Library. And because there's just so much out there, you can specify what you want, and it'll zone in on exactly what type of, do you want sans serif or just serif, or script, black letter, mono, hand, decorative. So let's just go to sans serif, and it'll bring up all different sorts of options for this. Now I've typed in the text that I'm going to use for this classification, and then you can go down to properties and you can say, okay, I want it, I want a medium weight, medium width, and so on and so forth. And then it'll bring up everything that that you might like for that particular font. Okay, so I'll go for this one. And when I click on it, you can sync it to After Effects. Not only After Effects, but Illustrator and Photoshop. So it'll be in there for you to use. Now that I look at them, I don't really like any of them, but I'm going to sync this one, and I'm going to add it to the kit It's going to be for web use. You can also, there was a scaler there, you can kind of bring it in and out. Okay, so those should now be available in After Effects, so I'm going to close that down. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so that's Typekit. Okay, so we're now going to create and format point text. And so we're going to click anywhere in the composition, and we're going to go up to text, and I'm going to type in, now I'm going to type in Orange Park, and it's come up with the type Hobo Roco, which I picked out from the Typekit. And I've got it at 70 pics, but I can move that up, might move it to 90. Select it. It's a bit sticky. Okay, so I've got it at 90. I'm going to center it. Maybe move it over that way. Okay. And to get the character panel, you just go to Windows up here, which you can't see, Workspace, which you can't see, and then to text. And that's what gives you that panel that you're working on right now. So we might want to position this as well, and then we're going to put a preset over it. So with my selection tool, okay, so we're working on this layer here, Orange Park, and I want this to start. I want this to start on 2 seconds, so I can go over here and type in 200, and it'll start later on in the timeline. Because I think this is 14 seconds, which is pretty long. Let's just leave it how it is. Okay, so if we now want to apply a preset, we can go to Animation, and we can browse presets. Now, this isn't working for me at the moment, but you've got to be a member of Adobe Creative Cloud to use this, and it's also your bridge, Adobe Bridge, and it's really fantastic, but for some reason it's just not working at the moment. So if you open up text in here, it'll show a whole bunch of different texts, and what we want to do is get to blurs, and in here it'll show you different blurs, and you can actually browse them in Adobe Bridge, but it's not letting me. So what we'll do is we'll look for blur by word. So this will give us our choices. Our bullet train, which we've used before, evaporate, foggy, jiggy, and transport. So if we look at maybe evaporate and transporter, so we'll go back to Orange Park, and at 2 seconds, we're going to apply a preset. Now, effects and presets. So we've got the panel here, and we'll just search for it this time. So let's go to evaporate. Okay, so in blurs, we've got evaporate. We'll click on that, and we'll drag it over Orange Park. Now let's just see how this looks. So if we preview it, we've got Orange Park, and then it evaporates. Now, if you click on your triangle button, your text, it'll show you've got the evaporate animator in there. So we could hide that. Let's go to 6 seconds on Orange Park and go to our blurs, and let's just look in here. if we go to blurs, let's try blur by word. So we'll grab that one, stick it on, and we'll preview that. So that's blur by word. That's okay. So we'll go down here, and we might hide that as well. We could just delete it. I'm pretty sure we can just delete that. Yeah. Oh, we got rid of our orange park as well. Okay. Okay, well, let's just put another, so there was evaporate. Let's just go in here and go, let's try our bullet train. So we'll take our bullet train, put it over, go all the way back. Stick that on there. Probably shouldn't play with it, but I wouldn't mind making it a bit bigger. Okay, let's play that. Okay, the other thing I didn't do with the evaporate is I should have put it further down the timeline. But anyway, you get a gist with that, and have a play with the different effects, and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, now I'm going to start playing with this and sort of tidying it up a bit. So I've got my orange park in here. I'm going to click on the text orange park, and I'm going to have that enter a bit later, and I'm also going to have it evaporate. Now we've got to get our character panel back out, which is, it's actually there. So that's 90 point. The other thing I want to do is maybe, is put some color into it. So I'm just going to select the R's, and I'm going to make those orange, and the orange here, just to add a bit of visual interest to it. And the other thing I'm going to do is find a preset. So I found a nice evaporate before in the blurs section. And here it is, so I'm just going to stick that over here. So that's going to evaporate at a certain stage, and you can see the blue line there, and that's where it's going to evaporate. Now, the other thing we can do is import a placeholder like we did in Module 2, and then you put in the director's names. But just to make it quick and easy, I've imported a composition already, which is the credits at the end. And I'm going to have the credits come in, obviously, at the end. So our piece is about 15 seconds, but when it's rendered, it'll make it into about 15.10 seconds. So what I have so far is when I play, and remember, try and preview a lot. So orange park, bang. And I'm showing you my big orchard of 5 trees. And then it evaporates, and then credits come in. Now I could do things with the credits. You could also put your placeholder in there, and get your students to, I'll bring it over to credits here, get your students to put in their own name, and also add some effects to the credits if you want. Now, the other thing I want to do is I'm going to put yummy oranges at the end. So while my credits, which is quite boring, I'm also going to put in a new text, and I'm going to write in here the yummy oranges. And it's created a new layer up here. Now, I'm not going to have this the whole way, so I'm going to move that down to come in when the credits come in. And I'm also going to put in some sort of effect with, I wonder what animation has. We could browse the presets, but in text here, I'm going to maybe animate out. So I could put in a fade out slowly, and we just stick it on that and see what happens with that. Okay, so get our timeline thingy back, and Orange Park, boom. So it's a little bit long, and then it evaporates, and then in comes yummy oranges with the credits, and that's it. So that's about enough. That really will take you at least 2 hours if you're new to After Effects, and there is so much more. So again, for your activity, try and create, using your text layer and importing your materials, your footage, and rendering it. So one last thing I didn't, just so we remember, with rendering, we could either go to composition. We always have to add it to the render queue, or you could go to your windows, and down here is render queue. So either of those ways, it's going to bring up your panel. And then you've got render queue here, so you click on that, and it should tell you, and add it to the render queue. And, oh wait, no, there we go. Okay, so we've got our best settings. We don't want to import to credits movie. We want comp folder and name. Nah, we don't want that. I'm not sure why. So we're not output. We're outputting to Orange Park, and we're doing it as a move file to desktop, and don't put it in the subfolder credits. So we save that, and then we're going to render. So make sure it's on half again, because if you render in full, it takes a long time. It's told me it's rendered, and I'll put the put the completed version up on the site.